on to the racing. I think one of the biggest takeaways from all of us was Cooper Webb is back. Now, you've said over and over, we should never count out Cooper Webb. As usual, the preseason data said that he wasn't going to be that fast. And what does he do? He goes Cooper Webb. He turned the tables on Jett Lawrence in a heat race to show he's here to fight again.
Well, I thought we would see this Cooper Webb, but I didn't think we would see it yet. If you told me this happened in March or April, I'd be like, yep, that's on brand. That's the right timing. But to see him this good, this early, caught me off guard. And I think it bodes really well for what 2024 can look like for the number 2.
Yeah, and it was brewing a bit in the main. He ended up going down. I don't know if he would have gotten it yet, but anytime Cooper Webb's about 3 seconds behind the leader with 5 minutes to go, that's where he likes to be. So we'll just, to be continued, going into San Francisco and see if he can challenge for the win. On the bad side for the Lawrence brothers, VIP program great. Jett's performance great. Oh, not great for Hunter Lawrence.
Well, everything that could go wrong for Hunter seemed to. It all started on press day. He had a big crash, continued to crash throughout the qualifying sessions. Then you see the incident on the start where he goes down in a heap, and he's very fortunate, I think. You see high sides. He's very fortunate to not be injured in that crash. And then the LCQ was yet another disaster. He barely misses the main event. So if I'm Hunter, I just do a complete reset. I pretend A1 didn't exist because I don't think it really has any relevance for him moving forward. And just put it out of your mind. Pretend San Francisco is the opener and start over.
Now, you just saw that clip. It was Vince Friese who came down across the front of Hunter and caused that heat race crash. Starts are kind of a neutral zone. Everyone's going for it. I'm not going to blame Friese for that. His game is getting the whole shot at all costs, and that's what he's trying to do. But there was much more drama to come. His old buddy Dean Wilson, who he's been knocking down all over the world, knocks him down again in the beginning of the main, and then Friese actually hurt himself with this.
Well, if you're going to say anything about Vince Friese, and trust me, I have, you have to say he's consistent. You know what you're going to get, and maybe you don't like what you're going to get, and maybe it causes harm, and Dean Wilson certainly is suffering from Vince Friese's, deliberate actions, let's say. But at this point, if you don't expect it, I have to say it's almost on you. So Dean Wilson was very upset. Vince Friese ended up dislocating his shoulder from what I hear. I don't know if we'll see him in San Francisco or not in the incident. But yeah, it's been 15 years of this. So if you're expecting anything different, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Okay, we expect him to be out now, injured for San Francisco. He had just come back, didn't even race Supercross last year due to injury. Let's move to history. We had teased before the race that if Jett Lawrence could win, he'd become the first rider to ever win in his first 450 Supercross start. Again, we'll dig into that with our statistician, Clinton Fowler, later in the show. But he did it. It ended up being competitive, but in that standard Jett Lawrence way. He maintained a gap of 2.5 seconds. We don't know how fast he could go. Was that his limit? We still can't figure this out.
Yeah, he has this innate ability to, almost like a yo-yo, extend the lead and then kind of maintain when he needs to. But he did make a few mistakes. He missed the rhythm section along the first base line a few times, and there were small mistakes along the way too. So I think every time he made that mistake, he would really put in a hot lap the next lap to extend it. We've seen him do it against the 250 riders for years in Supercross, and now he seems able to do it in the 450 class, which is a very, very scary thing for everybody who thinks they're going to be champion at the end of the season.
Yeah, as mentioned, it's strength against strength. You have Webb in striking distance, but you have Jett with the managing distance. What they both like, that situation. So it's hard to interpret. Now, another thing that's definitely open for interpretation, Jett said multiple times before the season that Jeremy McGrath's all-time Supercross win record of 72 is a goal. And that didn't sit well with some people to have said that before you've even raced or won. He clarified that a bit in the post-race press conference.
In all seriousness about that, I mean, it's just it probably might not get done. I mean, it's a lot of race wins, but I'm coming in, you got to set such a high goal for yourself that's going to make you go a little crazy for it and make sure you work hard. So it's not meaning really kind of I'm going to do it. It's more of just like I want to have myself a goal, because if I didn't have a goal, then I'd just be happy to be here in this race around whatever position I wanted to. So,
okay, so what he's saying there, JT, is he doesn't guarantee or necessarily even think he's going to do this, but he's setting big goals for himself to stay motivated.
Yeah, part of it I understand, because if you look at the success he's had, what goals should he be setting? Why not reach for the stars? Set the highest goals possible. I just think when you vocalize some of those things without racing anything, everybody kind of looks at it a little sideways. But I do give him credit for coming out and explaining himself a little bit. I don't think he's trying to upset anyone. I just think he holds himself in a really high regard, and he wants to go after every record that's out there. So I do like the fact that he kind of circled back to it.
We did all make the joke at a meeting on Friday. Do we put the 71 to go graphic on the screen? Then he won. So maybe we will start doing that. I don't know. It's going to take 7 or 8 years to get there, or less, or never. I don't know. Let's move to another topic before I get myself in trouble here, which is Jorge Prado, 13th, I think. He's the MXGP World Champ. To me, that's meaningless. 13th, I think, is great for his first ever Supercross. Explain why both you and I are actually okay with this.
Well, as the rider who has the most 13th place finishes in history, I can kind of empathize for what this felt like for him. You know, he's not a 13th place guy on a world stage. Let's be clear about that. This was his first ever Supercross, so I think he learned a lot. He's going to come into San Francisco understanding the format, understanding how things work a little bit better. And I'm sure at some point he was just kind of settling and letting the race come to him. And we all knew these first 3 races were just here to learn. Now, if he comes back in 2025, the expectations would be a little bit different. So I think it was okay. Did he set the world ablaze? No, but he left healthy. Again, he got very valuable experience, and he's going to be able to hopefully progress from there. So did I expect a little bit more? Maybe. But then I look at the field and the 15 riders we talked about, and maybe I shouldn't have.
And he almost somehow pulled the whole shot in the vein. So that's his real specialty. And he almost did pull it off. Here's Jorge on why he decided to come race in America.
Well, after making a dream come true, like the MXGP title this year, I feel like I wanted to experience new adventures, and for sure racing Supercross is something completely different and that I've always looked up to. So I think it's the right time, and that's why I'm here to see if there's something positive that I can take for the future, and maybe even if I like it, you know, come over in a few years or maybe sooner than later.
Now let's move to the 250 class. JT, I got to give you this one. In all of our preseason talks, and there were a lot of them, you were really putting RJ Hampshire a level ahead of a lot of the other 250 riders, and that's exactly what he was at A1.
He was, and I was scared being so confident in RJ because he gives us a lot of reason to be scared. If you look at some of the crashes he's had over the years, man, you ever wonder if he's going to just be able to put it together consistently. But last year was a huge step forward. He only had the big crash at A2 and then the slide into home plate maneuver in East Rutherford. Every other race was rock solid, and he was clearly the second best rider to Jett. So if you remove Jett, why wouldn't I think he's just going to slide in and be the best guy? Now, they dropped the gate for a reason, and he's going to have to prove it every single weekend. But I do believe this is his year and this is his time, and he's going to prove that to us consistently.
And then I thought the reason it might change is because we have so many young riders and you never know where they're going to make a leap. How much better will they be than last year? Now, I don't think this next rider is a title contender, but it's kind of the example of the unpredictability of the 250 class. Julian Bumera, who was not a factory rider or a pro 1 year ago, is now with Red Bull KTM. And every time I've seen him log laps on a Supercross track, he looks great. He's not been sketchy or scary in the whoops one time, which is shocking for someone 17 years old and new to this. And man, he lived up to it. Great starts and rode really well at the opener.
Yeah, when you're looking at a rookie like this, you want to see them do a few things. You know, you don't want the moment to be too big for them. You want them to be really good in the whoops, and you want them to have great sprint speed and, you know, like have the total package. And I thought he did all of that. Now, did he make a mistake and drop back? Sure. But when I spoke to him for the SMX post-race show, he didn't seem like this was out of line or out of character. He wasn't really that excited. I think he was more disappointed in the fact that he made that mistake here with Max Bowen running it in there. So to me, it was exactly what you would want to see out of a rookie. And I think there are great things to come from this kid. I think Red Bull KTM absolutely landed on one here.
You can clean up mistakes. You can work on the endurance as you get more relaxed and less nervous up there. But the things he already has are the things that you can't teach. So the future is super bright, as you said. And our future is going to San Francisco this weekend. A lot of history there, JT. We go back far enough that you actually raced in this building.
Yeah, I have very fond memories of this race. Some difficult memories too. But I think going back to San Francisco It just feels right to me. It's that huge metro area right on the water. You think about all the history that's been made there. You know, Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, the epic battles we've seen inside that stadium, and now it's called Oracle Park. I am thrilled to be back in San Francisco. So, Saturday can't get here quickly enough for me.
Shuckle looking at that graphic. Most wins, Ricky Carmichael. Most podiums, Chad Reed. That applies to every single place you can visit in Super Motocross. Now let's dig in a little bit deeper with this San Francisco round. Check out the track map, JT. What do you see?
Well, you've got that typical baseball diamond, so that does change how they kind of set the lanes up. You're not going to have the really long rhythm lanes, but along the first and third base lines, you still have those standard rhythm sections, just like last week in Anaheim. But the rest of the track's pretty fast. We've got that sand section again, but you're going to see a lot of switchbacks with just short straightaways, and that, to me, feels a lot like last weekend. It's almost a tale of two tracks where one section's really technical, one section's a little bit more open and a little bit faster. So we'll see how it shapes up. There is a little bit of moisture in the forecast, and that could wreak havoc on everything. We'll just have to wait to see on Saturday what that looks like.
It pains me. It pains me. I wanted to end it at track map. This is the fundamental argument between JT and I. You are a weatherman. I ignore it, but I don't think I can. We didn't even get round 2 in Northern California in last year. It rained so much. It's not going to be nearly that bad. But I guess we are going to have to acknowledge the weather is going to impact this event. I hate to talk about this stuff.
I give up on trying to beat you in this argument. You're always right. Because remember, we only need a few hours of dry weather to make it work.
Ruts, the whoops, it still could be impacted, right?
It does affect the racetrack a little bit. We just are very unlikely to get the mutter that everybody always calls for on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, and I think even Anaheim won. Don't you think that had little impact on how the track broke down? Rain 5 days earlier?
Absolutely, it did. You could see the ruts, which are very atypical for Anaheim. Riders were talking about how spongy it was all weekend. That's due to the rain we got on Wednesday.
All right, everybody. You know what that means? Watch race day live Saturday afternoon, because the track map alone won't tell you what the track is going to be like. Before we go, let's tell you how and when you can watch round 2 of Monster Energy AMA Supercross from San Francisco. Starts at race day live. That'll be at 3 o'clock. And then 8:30 Eastern will be the race show, which will air exclusively on Peacock and the SMX Video Pass outside of the United States. But there will be a re-air on television at 2 Eastern Sunday on NBC. So that'll be awesome for the sport.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all. So go for it.